Hello, glad you can join us. Here's what we have for you. An exodus of angry doctors from one province to another.
This is the first time that we've been called parasites and greedy and lazy.
Why hundreds are applying to go elsewhere.
These emails prove absolutely nothing.
What Jeffrey Epstein's messages reveal about Donald Trump.
When he allowed everyone else to check in, that's when I started taking videos.
Plus, the testy airport exchange that led to a legal judgment.
CTV National News with Sandy Ronaldo.
Quebec is in the throes of a healthcare crisis, with hundreds of doctors applying to work in Ontario and New Brunswick. It's over a new law, Bill 2, that some call draconian, and it comes at a time when more than 2 million people in that province are without a family physician. CTV's Judy Trin looks at what all of this means for Quebec and other provinces. Hey, Judy.
Sandy, in the 2 weeks since Quebec's Bill 2 was passed, more than 250 doctors have applied for certification in Ontario.
As my last gasp attempt.
After Quebec's CAQ government passed its controversial Bill 2 last month, Dr. Trevor Hennessy says he's moving his practice to Ontario. The anesthesiologist says the new law blames doctors for deteriorating health care.
This past Monday and Friday, 9 out of my 12 operating rooms are closed from lack of nurses. Only 3 out of 12 were open. We have surgeons and anesthetists sitting at home because our operating rooms are closed, and yet we're being blamed for the issues in the system.
The legislation puts performance markers on doctors, demanding they see 75% of ER patients within 90 minutes and perform 97% of surgeries within 1 year of a patient being assessed. Not meeting the markers could result in pay clawbacks. Those who protest against the bill could face fines of $20,000 a day. That didn't stop thousands of doctors from demonstrating on the weekend.
Our government has chosen to forcefully apply a law on us that goes against all of our rights as Canadians.
Quebec's doctors have been without a contract since 2023. In the past month, more than 360 doctors have applied for licenses in the neighboring provinces of New Brunswick and Ontario. About half are family doctors.
So we welcome everyone. I'm not targeting Quebec doctors. If they call me, I return their call.
We asked Quebec's health minister to comment on the potential exodus of doctors. Christian Dubé walked away from cameras and said, no comment. Sandy.
Okay, Judy, thank you. Tens of thousands of people in Quebec are still without power after a massive snowstorm pounded the province. As of midday, almost 46,000 homes were still in the dark, but crews are making progress restoring power. The widespread outages came after a Monday snowstorm that caught many people off guard. In Montreal, 20 centimeters fell. That's 4 times more than was predicted. Well, we have more to share from a CTV W5 exclusive investigation and can now name a Canadian man for his role in a global network of predators who drug and film the sexual assault of their partners. A survivor who unknowingly lived through years of abuse has launched a lawsuit to expose the rapist's identity. W5's Avery Haynes is here now. And Avery, tell us more about the suit and the implications.
Sandy, this is a $2 million civil suit that paves the way for us to reveal the name of a man who preyed on 3 of his former partners for over a decade. He drugged and sexually assaulted them and then shared and sold those videos within an online network of predators. Jonathan Beaulieu, a bodybuilder, is behind bars at Dorchester Prison in New Brunswick. In his criminal trial in 2024, his name was protected by a publication ban. But it does not extend to this civil suit, which is also seeking injunctions against porn websites in the hopes the courts can force removal of the videos. Beaulieu was sentenced to 16 years behind bars, but he could be out as early as 2029, and his victims hope that civil suit will warn other women when he is released. Sandy?
All right, Avery, thank you. Now, the W5 documentary, which is called Sleeping with the Enemy, exposes the crimes committed by Jonathan Luc Bouillot and other predators, and you can watch it on Crave, as well as W5's official YouTube channel. Police in Calgary say a family finally has some answers in a 50-year-old missing persons cold case.
Anna was reported missing in August of 1966 after she was last seen boarding a bus from Calgary.
2 years later, some of Anna Sylvia Just's belongings were found in the Nevada desert. Last year, Calgary investigators were able to locate her 97-year-old sister.
One of the first things she says to them is like, "Are you here because of Sylvia?" So that's 50 years that she's been waiting to hear.
Police got a DNA sample from Sylvia's sister, which matched human remains discovered in 1970 in Nevada, but were never identified. Well, trouble for the U.S. president. Damning emails from convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, released by House Democrats, that mention Donald Trump by name multiple times and allege he spent time with a victim of Epstein's sex trafficking. CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Malbon has seen the emails. Okay, Joy, how was the White House responding?
Sandy, the White House is lashing out at Democrats who dropped a political bombshell by releasing those private emails from Jeffrey Epstein discussing Donald Trump.
The private emails are straight from convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein discussing his relationship with Donald Trump. In 2011, 3 years after Epstein pleaded guilty to sex crimes involving a minor in Florida, he wrote to his now convicted partner Ghislaine Maxwell, "I want you to realize that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim, spend hours at my house with him. He was never once mentioned, police chief, etc." Maxwell responded, "I've been thinking about that." That victim, Republicans say, was Virginia Giuffre, who said she never witnessed wrongdoing by Trump. In her memoir, she described being recruited from Trump's Mar-a-Lago club by Ghislaine Maxwell and trafficked to rich and powerful men, including the former Prince Andrew. In 2019, while President Trump was running for re-election, Epstein wrote author Michael Wolff, taking issue with Trump's claim that he kicked Epstein out of his club, alleging Trump knew about Epstein's illegal behavior. Trump said he asked me to resign. Never a member ever. Of course he knew about the girls, as he asked Ghislaine to stop. Maxwell, who's reportedly applying for clemency, told the president's lawyer in July she never saw Trump at Epstein's home.
"I never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way."
The White House accuses Democrats of trying to smear the president by releasing selective emails.
It just shows how this is truly a manufactured hoax by the Democrat Party.
The Trump administration formally closed the Epstein case, but Democrats hope releasing these emails can force a vote in the Republican-controlled House to release all of the files. Sandy?
All right, CTV's Joy Malbon. Pierre Poilievre held his first media conference since learning he will lose 2 MPs, one who defected and one who is resigning. The Conservative leader was asked whether he has reflected on his leadership style.
No, my plan is to continue to lead and be the only leader in the country that's fighting for an affordable Canada, where our people who work hard can afford a home and food. That is my agenda.
Poilievre took aim at the Liberal budget and also noted the criticism coming from inside the Liberal Party.
But fairly, it does not live up to its promise of generational investments. I joked that it was a pretty good progressive Conservative budget. I joked. I'll get flack for that. It's a joke. But hey, some Conservatives agree.
The message from Liberal MP Nathaniel Erskine-Smith ends with last week's Conservative floor crossing. Despite his concerns, the Toronto MP says it's not a budget that should throw the country into an election. All right, time to bring in CTV's chief political correspondent, Vashi Kapelis. Vashi, we heard Mr. Poilievre being asked about party culture, about his leadership, and whether he's reflected on it. Thoughts on his response?
I'm not surprised at all, and nobody really should be, that he said he wasn't reflecting on it. Most of the time, until a leader decides to actually leave, they don't concede any kind of weakness, and particularly when he's facing down a leadership review in January in Calgary, I would not expect that to be the case. He is buoyed, internally, I think, to a certain degree by how close his party is to the Liberals in national public opinion polling. But even there, Sandy, there is a caveat. If you look more closely in those polls at his own personal numbers, they drastically trail Mark Carney's.
Okay, so talk to us about the tone of this news conference. It's the first time we've heard him address the defections and the resignation. So, in particular, his response to questions about the departures of those two MPs.
Yeah, it was kind of peak Polyev, right? It took you right back to the election, defiant, certainly looking at the mainstream media and pinning blame on that, trying to turn things over to the Liberals. As you pointed out, though, in that video, the facts don't necessarily bear out his argument. Nathaniel Erskine-Smith has, I think I've done at least 6 interviews with him over the past 10 years in which he openly criticized the government he was a part of. He ultimately always supported them on matters of confidence. It simply is not the same thing as an MP from your party, minutes after a federal budget was tabled, crossing the floor from your party to the governing party and moving them one seat closer to a majority. Sandy?
Okay, Vashti, thank you as always. Well, we won't hear officially until tomorrow, but CTV News already has a sense of what Mark Carney will unveil in the second phase of new nation-building projects. CTV's Abigail Beeman has our story.
Silism's LNG is charting a new course for a better future.
A promotional video explains the Silism's mobile LNG facility, one of the major projects expected to be added to the list by the Prime Minister in Prince Rupert Thursday.
And has North America's shortest marine route to growing Asian markets.
In addition to Silism's in BC, CTV News has learned the Prime Minister is expected to announce a hydroelectric development project in Iqaluit, the Sisson Mine project in New Brunswick, and the Crawford Nickel Mine project in Northern Ontario.
50% of global nickel comes from Indonesia. The Chinese own 75% of those mines. We have to disrupt their stranglehold of the supply chain.
Mark Carney has faced criticism for picking projects already in various stages of development.
There's not a single project that he has launched that was not already in the making or approved before he took office.
In 2017, Dominic LeBlanc, still a minister now, said construction on the Sisson mine should start the next year.
I think that North America and Canada benefit strategically.
That mine has faced more than a decade of environmental approvals and delays. The defense minister today asked about the U.S.'s nearly $21 million contribution to it.
Our Defense Department is cooperating with our Department of Natural Resources in order to help, first of all, identify the extent of critical minerals in Canada.
These types of developments can carry dire and very expensive long-term liabilities. Short-term needs are very real in the Canadian economy. Long-term thinking also is needed.
As for the East-West pipeline pushed by Alberta, no word that it will be on tomorrow's list. Danielle Smith has said she's in daily negotiations with Ottawa and is hopeful that a memorandum of understanding will be ready by Sunday's Grey Cup or shortly after. Sandy?
Okay, Abigail, thank you. Speculation was rampant that the G7 meeting in Niagara-on-the-Lake would provide an opportunity for the top diplomats from Canada and the U.S. to restart the dialogue after Donald Trump abruptly terminated trade talks. CTV's Rachel Aiello is at the 2-day meeting in Ontario. Okay, so Rachel, what about that conversation with the Americans? Did anyone raise the issue of talks?
Hey, Sandy. So it sounds like no. We know for sure that Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand did not bring up restarting trade talks in this rare chance she had, this one-on-one FaceTime with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. She has confirmed that she didn't bring it up, and we know, based on Rubio's readout that was issued shortly after the sit-down, trade wasn't mentioned. There was some talk about reinforcing supply chains, so it seems, Sandy, that meeting came and went without any discussion on trade. I pressed Minister Anand about this in her closing press conference, asking why she didn't take this opportunity to try to regain that dialogue. And she said essentially they did talk about a series of other pressing issues that she thinks Canadians care about as well. But ultimately, this is a file, she says, is resting in the hands of Minister Dominic LeBlanc. Take a listen.
So as Foreign Minister, my responsibility is to represent Canada on the world stage on these and other issues. That's exactly what I did. And I'm respectful of my colleagues' portfolios, one of whom is Dominic LeBlanc, whose role it is to cover Canada-US trade.
Okay, so Rachel, beyond trade, what were the foreign ministers able to accomplish?
Yeah, so based on the readout we got just ahead of Annan's press conference, they were talking about reinforcing support for Ukraine and trying to crack down on the countries that are essentially enabling Russia's ongoing war, voice concerns about ongoing conflicts and concerns in places like Haiti. And as well, there is some messaging in there about working together to try to develop critical minerals. But really, for the end of Canada's G7 presidency, not a lot of tangible outcomes based on the readout were accomplished here. Sandy?
All right, Rachel, thank you so much. Coming up. Rude reception.
Okay, sir, we want to just go home. No, don't. We want to go home, that's all.
A judge rules on a customer service nightmare. An Ontario couple denied boarding by Air Transat wants to share a cautionary tale. It began with a recording of an interaction with airline staff and ended with a judicial ruling. CTV's Adrian Gobriel now on what happened and the crucial video evidence. Adrian.
Sandy, when a couple trying to fly home from Punta Cana to Toronto were told they wouldn't be allowed to check in by an Air Transat agent, they pulled out their phone and began recording. It's a decision that has resulted in a big win for air passenger rights.
We want to go home, that's all.
On March 31st, 2024, Madhu Haridas and his wife arrived at Punta Cana International Airport to check in for their Air Transat flight home to Toronto. The couple were finishing their first vacation away as husband and wife.
We had fun except the last day.
The last day?
Yeah.
Not so fun.
Not so fun.
That's because when they arrived at the airport, this Air Transat check-in supervisor refused to check them in unless the couple erased video they had taken of their customer service experience.
I need to delete all pictures and all video for check-in.
When they first arrived at the airport, they asked an Air Transat agent where they should line up. Haridas's wife was traveling with an Indian passport and a Canadian work permit.
He first yelled and told to stand behind a red line. So there was a red marker on the floor. So when he yelled, immediately we stood behind.
The couple say they asked the agent to stop shouting. It was during that exchange he first refused to check them in.
When he allowed everyone else to check in, that's when I started taking videos.
Then came the ultimatum.
Okay. Deleted all information with me in your cell phone.
It is a form of extortion or blackmailing, essentially.
Never allowed to check in, they had to purchase expensive same-day tickets with another airline. They took their case to small claims court. In a written decision, an Ontario judge found that Air Transat's conduct was effectively egregious. The judge applauded the couple for taking video, which assisted him in reaching his decision.
There is no right for the airline or any airline employee to privacy that would deprive you of documenting how they are treating you.
As a passenger, you should know your rights before you travel.
Air Transat has declined to comment on the court's ruling.
The small claims court ruling resulted in Air Transat having to pay $7,000 to the couple, who also note that their payment included an email from the airline congratulating them on their victory. Sandy.
All right, thanks, Adrian. As we head to break, an inspiring champion of the environment was remembered today. And among those paying tributes to the life and work of Jane Goodall was actor Leonardo DiCaprio.
Most people knew her as Jane Goodall, the icon, the legend. But the Jane I was fortunate enough to get to know was gentle, curious, funny, witty, and absolutely unstoppable.
The service was held at the Washington National Cathedral and streamed online. Goodall was a pioneer in her field, turning a childhood love of primates into a lifelong quest to protect the environment. She died last month at the age of 91. The Toronto Stock Exchange hit a new record today, boosted in part by hopeful signs the U.S. government shutdown may be about to end. Canada's main stock index has gained well over 20% this year so far. BNN Bloomberg's Andrew Bell joins us now. Hey, Andrew, a good start this morning. Let's make sense of what's behind this meteoric rise.
Really, it's gold stocks. I mean, good news. Canadian stocks, our Toronto Composite Index hitting a new high, as did actually south of the border the good old-fashioned Dow Jones Industrial Average, which dates way back to the late 1800s. But there's our market. You can see, Sandy, almost 31,000 now, closing above 30,800 for the first time. But really, it has been a story of metals, heavy metals this year. Gold stocks, names like Kinross and Agnico Eagle and Barrick Mining have more than doubled. And another heavy metal, even heavier, uranium, Cameco, the big uranium miner, has surged. So that has helped us to beat the Americans this year. Go Canada. The S&P 500 index is up less than 20% this year. It's up about 16%. That's the big American benchmark. Right. And then the NASDAQ, home of those huge tech giants, we've even beaten it. It's up only 21% or so.
Okay, Andrew, always enjoy our chats. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Sandy. Talk soon.
And we'll be right back. Don't go away. Look to the night sky, my friends. Most Canadians will have a second chance to see the Northern Lights again tonight. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth talked to some Nova Scotians who took in last night's aurora activity. Paul.
Sandy, because of the clear skies over many parts of North America, a lot of people had a clear view of this massive display of the Northern Lights. When Tiffany Fields looked outside late last night, she saw the colorful display of the Northern Lights in the Nova Scotia sky.
It was just pink and red and glowing, and it was incredible.
The Northern Lights are solar storms that happen when electrically charged particles from the sun collide with gases in the Earth's atmosphere. An astronomy technician at St. Mary's University, Fields was ready to capture the moment with countless pictures on her phone.
And I could see the faint green glow in my camera, and I was just like so excited.
So was Mark Perkin, who lives on Nova Scotia's Big Tancook Island and shot this photo.
When we get the Northern Lights coming out like that, so strong and lighting up the entire sky, we can walk out our front door and it's right there. You got the ocean, you got the sky, and you don't know where one ends and the other begins.
Fields says there's another solar storm coming tonight, and she hopes it's as stunning as Tuesday's experience.
It was very strong, produced a lot of colors in the sky that were very high in altitude and then sort of able to be seen for hundreds of kilometers along the northern horizons.
This geomagnetic storm was so strong, so powerful. People saw the Northern Lights here in Canada, as far south as Florida, through the state of Texas, on the west coast in California, and in numerous states in the U.S. Midwest. Sandy.
Spectacular. Thank you, Paul. And thank you for sharing your time with us. I'm Sandy Ronaldo. Your local CTV News is coming up. Bye for now. We'll see you tomorrow, we hope. Have a nice evening.